Crenshaw, and we are live from the 704 once again for episode 111. Yes, we have 3 1s this week. As we are back again for another episode of the 815 Exchange. And well, I guess we're calling it a series. I said this to my dad this past week, and I said, if we're doing a series between, college football versus NFL every week, last week was college football, but this past week was the NFL. It was the NFL's week, and we will talk about that. And of course, that is going to main event, as it always does, today's episode, which, if you want to skip ahead to the NFL segment, or you really want to hear me talk about House of the Dragon, because boy, oh boy, do I have a lot to talk about House of the Dragon. As always, and like I always say, everything you are looking for in this life and everything you are looking for on this channel can be found in the description. So if you're looking for my social media links, IG, Twitter, TikTok, whatever it is, that can be found in the description, as well as timestamps to every single segment that we do here on the 815 Exchange. And as always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. Of course, we returned from the reaction hiatus, so if you're here for the reaction videos or you're here from the reaction videos, welcome to the sports and entertainment talk portion of this channel. If you didn't know about the reaction videos, well, there you go. But, yes, where do I begin? College football, of course, is where I begin. And I wasn't even going to give us a picture. I might give us a picture. There may be a picture here, or there may not. I honestly don't know. It just kind of depends on if there was a good photo available in editing when I'm editing this. Listen, there might be one. Hopefully there is one, because I'd be a little, I sometimes do that and it pops up. I don't know though, but maybe it did. But anyways, I wasn't even going to give us the time of the day. I have spent the past 3 weeks on this channel, the past 3 episodes on this channel, starting off, almost by tradition, trashing my home school's football team. Relentlessly. I mean relentlessly. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I have been cooking us for 3 straight weeks. We have the worst secondary in America. We got the worst defense. Coach Healy might need to be fired. I've been saying everything possible bad about this team, because that's honestly how bad we've been. Well, ladies and gentlemen, by some miracle, some divine intervention, this week was the week. And maybe that divine intervention was the return of star quarterback, Charlotte football legend, future Charlotte Ring of Honor, I'm probably going to be the last person to ever wear 3 at this school. CR3 return. Chris Reynolds return, and boy, oh boy, did Chris Reynolds return versus Georgia State as the Charlotte 49ers. Finally get one on the board, and we are 1-0, and we will not be 1-4 going into next week, even though South Carolina didn't play well. We'll talk about that later. But yes, we won 42-41. Proud of the guys. CR3 came back with a vengeance. 401, I think, total yards. 5 touchdowns. Have to give some credit to those to Georgia State's offense. Garinger, their quarterback, had 343 and 4 touchdowns. Greg, the running back, with 102 himself. Grant Dubois, jeez, 985 and so it was an impressive display of offense on both sides. As you can see, it came down to the wire. We scored in the last minute. Of course, because that's the only way Charlotte knows how to win, is in dramatic fashion. I love my school. I have a love-hate relationship with this football program, because boy, oh boy, are we exciting to watch sometimes, but we are also so incredibly stressful. Now, as great as the offense is, nothing's really changed from what I've said. I'm still going to stand on everything I've said, because everything in this game justified everything that I said. Our offense, when it's on, it can run on all cylinders, and we can score with seemingly most teams. I'm not going to say everybody. That's for my other team. But we got a good offense. The offense is very much so FBS. Probably one of the top, I dare say, if we can get some momentum going. It can be towards that, higher end of the FBS. But, good Lord, do we have absolutely no defense. We still have no defense. Defense still sucks. Secondary still sucks. It is what it is. We're just going to have to live and learn with it. And hopefully we can build some momentum and win some of these shootouts. But, I'm just glad we got at least one win, because I'm going to be honest. After William & Mary, I didn't think we were going to win a game. I didn't even think we were going to beat FIU. But we are on the board. 49ers win. Let's go. Now, instead of the Niners, let's talk about my Trojans, as it is still fight the... Oh, I mean, it was a great week for USC. I'm not going to lie. When we talk about the NFL, we'll talk about that too. But it was a great week for the USC Trojans of Southern Cal, because we did take out Fresno State, which, I mean, it's not saying much, but, you know, it was our toughest test. Of course, we got Oregon State next week, which is going to be the real test, because that's always a trap game for whatever reason, and Oregon State appears to be good. However, we did play Jake Hayner, who has that dog in him. Unfortunately, he got injured, hoping he stays healthy, because he's a very good quarterback for Fresno State. But, however, Trojans get it done 45-17. Caleb had 284 and 4. Jones had 110 and a touchdown. Dye had 102 and a touchdown. Addison is on pace to break the USC record for single season touchdowns. So shout out to the second best. I will allow second best receiver in college football. I will allow that. I know a lot of Ohio State fans want to call their top two guys probably the top two, and they're even starting to call Marv number one. But relax, Jordan Addison is still alive, and by the way, that Mario Williams guy is not too far behind either. But, USC offense working, defense, held strong when Hayner came out. However, it's going to be a real test, like I said, next week versus Oregon State. Keeping it in the Pac-12, who had a little bit of redemption this week. And maybe, just maybe, Oregon is not as bad as we thought, because in one of the two matchups between ranked teams this week, Oregon trounced. Butchered BYU, 41-20. Bo Nix is once again having fun, 13 for 18. 257 and 5 total touchdowns for Bo Nix in this game. Jaron Hall also did his thing, 305 and 2 touchdowns. But once again, Oregon's offense, like I said, Bo Nix was having fun. He was having fun, and Oregon was pretty much scoring at will. They were doing what they wanted to do. BYU's defense just was not there. And from the jump, Kalani was on them from the jump, but they just never responded. They never answered the bell, and Oregon put it on them. Straight up, they put it on BYU, made a statement. Hall, even though he's 26 billion years old, still played a solid game. I think, they'll still, be kind of in that like teens, 20s range, but BYU probably not that sleeper kind of, group 5 team that you were maybe thinking they could be. Oregon, on the other hand, might not be as bad as we thought. Maybe not as bad as we thought, which is good for the Pac-12. Staying in the Pac-12, because once again, for some reason, it was just a great week for the Pac-12. Washington upsets Michigan State. Michael Penix, former Indiana legend. You most probably know him for almost scoring that touchdown where he turned into Reed Richards. But he is now in Washington. He had 397 and 4 touchdowns to lead the Huskies over the Spartans. Polk, 6 receptions, 153 and 3 touchdowns. However, for the Spartans, Keon Coleman continues to impress, the dual athlete. 9 receptions, 116 and 2 touchdowns. If he keeps this up as one of the best receivers in America, he's going to the NFL and not the NBA. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, Keon Coleman's still on a rampage, but a fantastic win for the Washington Huskies. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Texas A&M and Miami. This was an ugly, ugly game. This was barely a football game. This was a very much so Iowa-type game, and that's saying something, which shout out to Iowa, because they scored more than 20 points this week. But, this was an ugly, ugly game. But Texas A&M gets a win back here, 17-9. Defense, if you like defense, then maybe this was the game for you. However, offensively, there's nobody even for me to say of notes. Akane wasn't bad. He had like 88 yards, but there was nothing good to say about this game. It's just there was 2 ranked opponents. Miami just didn't show up. TVD never got going. It was an ugly win. There wasn't great coaching for Texas A&M. They're just so uninspiring. And then half the freshmen of this #1 recruiting class that was amazing, top recruiting class ever, got suspended for immaturity. There's a lot of culture issues going on in College Station. They got to figure that out. The U has to figure out if they want to be elite again or not, because they've been trying to figure that out for the past 10 years. But Texas A&M gets to win 17-9. App State got College Game Day. They're the team of the year right now, all right? Appalachian State is the team of the year. Georgia's my #1 team for good reason. We'll talk about that after this. But Appalachian State, the Mountaineers, are the team of the year right now in college football. They are the team of the hour, the team of the week, the team of the month, the team of whatever you want to say. App State is the biggest story, seemingly in college football every single week. It's been chaos for the best team in North Carolina, but actually I can't say that. NC State, I will pay my respects. You know what? NC State, I will pay my respects, and I won't do it. I won't do it. I can have restraint. One of the best teams in the state of North Carolina, because we do play ball. We play football out here. We got a couple good ones. I can't lie. We got a couple good ones. Even Duke is undefeated, so North Carolina football good. But Appalachian State got College Day. Boone, of course, was rocking. The atmosphere was great. I know a couple friends that go to App State. They were having a lot of fun, having a blast. They were playing Troy, and it came down to, once again, it's App State, so it has to be the most chaotic, dramatic, Fun Belt way of winning possible. So, of course, it's a 60-yard Hail Mary to win the game that somehow ends up in the... I don't know how it worked, but chaos and Boone. They stormed the field. Unfortunately, some people got trampled. Apparently, somebody broke their leg, and there was like the bone sticking out on Twitter. I didn't see it, but apparently that's what happened. So for you sickos that want to see that, unfortunately, I cannot provide that link. But yeah, App State, there's nothing, what else to say, man? Bryce had 278 and 2 touchdowns. Of course, the game-winning Hail Mary. Just chaos. A storybook ending. The only thing bad about this week, and the only thing bad that's gone bad for App State, the only thing bad that's gone bad for App State, was the fact that this game was on ESPN Plus, even though it was on game day. I don't understand that ESPN. It's the game day game. Put it on regular ESPN. Even put it on ESPN 2 if you have to. Do not put the game day game on ESPN Plus. It's just, that makes no sense. Especially when it was a much better game than the games that you were showing, because all of the top teams were playing a bunch of bums. Alright, they played a bunch of bums this week. Even though some of those bums were conference bums, they were still bums. There were so many blowouts. This is another reason why I said the NFL had it over college football. There were so many blowouts in college football this week. It was disgusting. So let me rattle a couple of them out for you. Georgia beat the brakes off of South Carolina, 48-7. This game was not 48-7 close. It was more of like 96-2 close. That would have been a more favorable. That 7 was a pity touchdown in the garbagest of garbage time. Brock Bowers looked like a man unleashed after he had a quiet week 1. Brock has been quiet. He reaffirmed his position as the top tight end in the country. And this Georgia team just looks scary. They looked almost better than last year, which is saying something, because the team last year was amazing. But yeah, Georgia #1 for a reason. They absolutely butchered the Gamecocks, who now get to come and play us, or should I say we go and play them. Charlotte versus South Carolina. Big game next week. Should have had a game day. Nonetheless, Spencer Rattler looks very, very human, as always. Michigan beats the brakes off of UConn, 59-0. It was, again, not that close. Blake Corum scored 5 touchdowns. Bama put 63 on UNL Monroe, I believe. Again, another murking. I think somebody dropped 70 this week. That was another ranked opponent. It was the weekend of blowouts in college football. And that's really all I got to say about that. Hopefully next week's a little bit better, but shout out to App State because y'all are holding it down. Now, let's kick it, shall we? Let's kick it over to soccer, all right? Champions League, once again, of course, we got the Champions League, so we're going to talk about it. Not too many crazy things happen. I don't know if that's because, it's been a couple days since it happened, so I've cooled down. But nothing too crazy happened, but we do have some things to talk about involving some of the major teams. Of course, Bayern and Barca was probably the headline matchup of the week. Barca seemingly cursed with always having to play them. And Leroy Sané was on one, okay? Sané was on one in this game. He gets a goal. Lucas Hernandez also had a nice goal, and Bayern gets to win 2-0. I don't think it's the end of the world for Barca, of course, but I mean, listen, Bayern is still, even without Lua, against Lua, it did not matter. Lua, who did not play his finest game, by the way, in this game, showed that, Bayern was bigger than Lua. They showed up. They got the win. They look like, simply put, the better team than Barcelona. And you know what? That should not be too much of a surprise. But yeah, a statement win, in my opinion, from Bayern. Man City in Dortmund, 2-1. Man City wins after Jude Bellingham Jude does it again, scores the goal. Of course, he's now the highest-scoring English teenager, I think, in the history of the Champions League, and everything looks great. However, Dortmund fans, you just kind of knew. You just kind of knew it was all going to fall apart. And however, it went to the brink. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dortmund versus Man City. This is the Erling Haaland derby. This is the machine derby. So of course the man himself, or should I say the machine himself, had to make an appearance, and boy oh boy did he make an appearance with a goal that only him and Zlatan Ibrahimovic could simply score in just the most acrobatic way possible. I mean, his legs were where some people's heads are usually. It was just a ridiculous goal attempt, and of course it made sense. It somehow made sense for that to be the shot that he took. But yes, Haaland flies, Haaland scores. Haaland does not stop scoring. He scored on the weekend as well. He's on pace for some ridiculous numbers, looking like he might smash the Premier League record. It should be no surprise. He's the machine. He's probably the greatest natural goal scorer of this coming era, and of his era, I dare say. Even more so than Mbappe, even though I would still say Mbappe is probably better than Haaland. But yeah, Haaland just cannot stop scoring. Speaking of the man himself, PSG played Hafifa way too close. This was way too close. Messi scored, they scored. It looked like we might have a potential situation here going on. However, Kylian Mbappe quickly killed all of that by scoring, and then Neymar scored, I think, in the 80-something minute. So, for the very first time, I think in the Champions League at least, all three of MMN or M&M get a goal here for PSG. Yeah, the Stars showed up. Won their finest game in the Champions League, but the Stars showed up. They then went and played Lyon on the weekend. Neymar scored. Yeah. No, Neymar got the assist to Messi off of a ridiculous team goal. Mbappe splits through the Lyon defense like butter. Gives it off to Messi. Yeah, gives it off to Neymar. Neymar cuts inside, finds Messi. It was beautiful. All right, when that team is on, they're scary as ever. But again, it's PSG, so you never really know. You never really know. Midway point, so you know that means we are here at the entertainment segment. And well, Harley Quinn, season 3, season finale. Harley goes full circle. That's what I'll call it. Harley goes full circle. And just kind of, I like the way the communication went with her and Ivy, and just kind of the understanding. They didn't go for the trope of them breaking up. Didn't do that. It's going to be interesting with her, I guess, as a member of the Bat family, technically, or kinda. But yeah, just thought it was a good inning. It was a very, very good inning to what was a very good season. Again, this is one of the best, I think, animated shows out. So yeah, shout out to Harley Quinn, shout out to Kaylee and everybody on the team. Also found it funny that Joker finally gets Batman, because he gets Bruce on a white-collar crime of committing tax fraud, which of course the rich man, the billionaire, commits tax fraud naturally. So yeah, and then Bruce decides to go to jail, so we'll see what happens and see how that arc goes with, and like I said, Harley running with Babs and Dick, trying to protect Gotham. Should be very, 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 very interesting. But however, it was a great season again. Harley's, development was natural. It wasn't like she was forced into a hero role. It was a very natural and, of course, a very entertaining road to where we got. But yeah, another great episode of Harley Quinn. Y'all know what time it is, man. Y'all know what time it is. I say it every week, and I will say it for the next 5 weeks, because I think we got 5 weeks left. I will say it till the end. The best show on television is House of the Dragon, man. It is. It just is. And good Lord, it felt like a season finale, somebody said, which in some ways it was, because unfortunately it was our last episode pre-time jump, so that meant it was our last episode with our dear Millie Alcock and Emily Carey. So shout out to Mills, shout out to M, because y'all were fantastic as a listen. And Rhaenyra made me big fans, certainly. I hope you guys go into, ultimate stardom and great careers ahead, because boy oh boy did y'all play those roles perfectly. Now let's talk about the woman herself. Even though it wasn't a completely, it kind of was. Rhaenyra's kind of main. She's the main character, right? So everything's always going to kind of revolve around her, at least for this first part. Rhaenyra. Boy oh boy oh boy. Let me not start with Rainier. Let me talk about who the episode was really about. It was the no good, very bad week or month or however long this took for Sir Kristen Cole. Oh my goodness. It was a miserable episode for Kristen Cole. Falls in love with Rainier, as we kind of know. Well, I mean, they're in love with each other. But anyways, falls in love with Rainier. However, of course, he has this internal dilemma. One of the things about these characters, I will say, before I say this, even though I'm enjoying everybody feuding already about greens versus blacks, but they're all flawed. They're all deeply flawed. Like, there's nobody that is completely noble so far that we've seen on the show, I mean. Everybody has issues, okay? So, yeah, we saw some of Kristen's internal dilemma in this episode as he was going back and forth pursuing the fact that he had fallen in love with Rhaenyra and he had done the deed with Rhaenyra. However, his vow and his honor and the only thing he has to his name, which is being a knight, and just kind of the internal dilemma between that. So the only way Sir Kristen saw this being fixed was if him and Rhaenyra, even though, I mean, technically speaking, he wasn't wrong. Early on in Rhaenyra's life, before she was, the heir, she kind of, she wanted to be free. She wanted to be free from everything. She just wants to, go out, be able to be herself, and be able to live. However, Rhaenyra got a little bit of taste of power. She's gotten that taste of power. And a lot of people are saying it's due to the duty that her father, and it's a little bit that, but it's really Rhaenyra just wants to be, and she wants to rule. She wants to be queen. It's not because of a prophecy. It's not because of that. She got a taste of power, and now she wants all of the power. That's what's happening here. And she will do whatever is necessary to rule, regardless of what anybody thinks. Everybody be damned what they think. Rhaenyra wants to rule. But Kristen, only way he saw out of this is, let's run off, be free. I can just be kind of like a hedge knight / sellsword, and we can just live as commoners and be married together, and I get my honor back, instead of living with his guilt of what I've done. Rhaenyra said, absolutely not, I am not giving up the crown. In fact, I am the crown. Then she proposes that he just kind of be her side piece. Kristen now famously says, so you want me to be your whore? And it just kind of unravels from there. He runs off. It's tragic. It's just a truly tragic situation between Kristen Cole and Rhaenyra Targaryen. So that descends into, we go to, of course, the wedding. Daemon returns in the most dramatic of fashions after he starts the episode killing his wife. He is a morally horrible character, but he is a very entertaining character, so that's why people love him. He is by no means a morally gray. He is a villain. He is a villain in absolutes. However, he's a complex character, and that's what makes him great. However, Daemon murders his perfectly fine bronze bitch, who was absolutely not any of those things, but anyways, she was bronze. But yeah, he paralyzes her, then he smashes her head in, then he taunts her family at the wedding that he shows up unceremoniously to. However, Daemon was still beaten in dramatic entrances by Alyssum, who shows up in her banner's colors that they pull up with war. So she pops out in the green dress, all dramatic, everybody stands up. Viserys is stunned. By the way, Viserys is rotting, dying, literally dying in front of our eyes, and is just stressed out because nobody wants to act right. So he's just under the ultimate stress of being eternally sick and eternally stressed out. I absolutely feel for the king. But yes, Alyssum is on smoke because she found out through Kristen, who in his heartbreak did not realize that Alyssum was asking about Daemon, not him. And God forbid, because if he had realized that she was talking about Daemon and realized that Daemon and Rhaenyra did something, then unfortunately we would be out of a Targaryen and a Cole, because Daemon and Kristen would have killed each other. But nonetheless. So yeah, Alyssum is now upset at Rhaenyra because Rhaenyra betrayed her trust because she lied to her, because Rhaenyra is a pathological liar. She's a liar. She's a schemer. That's who she is. Right? She's a pathological liar. The same way Daemon's a psychopath, she's a liar. So yeah, Alyssum, a little bit hypocritical, but yeah, she's upset about that. We saw the Strongs take action big time, alright? Lionel was still a great hand. Harwin is a tank. I mean, he cleared out. He cleared out during that melee, which we're about to talk about. And Lares, of course, was scheming and plotting to, get in Alyssa's head. The wedding. Alright, Laner, of course, we know Laner does not swing that way, and him and Rhaenyra had a little bit of an understanding before Sir Kristen broke that off. Unfortunately, Joffrey, and again, I don't know why you would go to a wedding in Game of Thrones or in A Song of Ice and Fire with the name Joffrey, because it never works out well. Well, Joffrey, who's Laner's lover, the Knight of Kisses, as they call him, pulls up old Kristen, taunts him. First off, the rule number 1 in Thrones is keep your mouth shut. Alright, keep your mouth shut, especially when you don't know nobody. Keep your mouth shut. However, he recklessly goes up to Kristen Cole after he figures out that, he's Rhaenyra's paramour. He's like, oh yeah, this works out real nice for us, right, bro? Yeah. I think it's important that we keep this a secret. And then gave him a nut tap. Out of pocket, completely out of line. Kristen already just morally distraught. You do that. I don't know what happened. Now, Daemon and Rhaenyra, because of course Viserys cannot just live in peace. Daemon goes up and they now kiss in a very, very sexual tension-filled kind of moment, which then, again, speaking High Valyrian, it's a sexy language, alright? And then all of a sudden, fight breaks out. Kristen all of a sudden is throwing hands. Harwin's clearing out everybody. He sneaks up and grabs Rhaenyra. And then later, we see gets pushed to the ground. He's trying to get to somebody. Found out Kristen is beating the brakes and eventually kills by turning Joffrey's face into ground beef. And then Laner has to marry Rhaenyra with the blood still there. It was savage. An absolute savage ending to House of the Dragon, episode 8-5. Just an absolute savage ending. Thrones is back. All right, we back. Do that preview. All right, we back. That time zone is about to pop off. It's about to pop off because Rhaenyra had some very strong-looking children. All right, those are not black children. I don't even need to say it. Those are not Laener's kids. We knew this. Those are some very, very strong-looking kids. I'm ready to see Egg. I'm ready to see Aemon the Menace because, boy, oh boy, he's going to make some people mad. I'm ready, all right? I'm a Miss Emily. I'm a Miss Millie. But you know what? It's about to pop off. It's about to get real interesting. The series, again, is rotting. I feel for him. But you know what? It's about to pop off. Another fantastic episode from the best show on television. I talked about that forever. Let's talk about music. Well, actually, I don't have that much to talk about music. Blackpink dropped. I talked about that literally the past 2 days. So if you want to go do that, go back and watch that. Shut Down Ever might be my favorite song they ever made. Certainly my favorite music video. The performance was great. They're on Kimmel tonight. So if you want to go watch that, go watch that. But yeah, Blackpink in your area. ESTG and Jack Harlow dropped. I do not remember the name of that song, but that was key. In the little excerpt I saw with them going back to back, bro, G and Jack do not miss. They do not miss. That is the Louisville connection right now. I would love if they did like a collab tape eventually, but yeah, they killed that. Heard his album was very good as well. And yeah, that was entertainment. Now, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's head over to combat sports. Canelo UDs GGG to absolutely nobody's surprise. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I was in the streets, so I did not watch this fight, so I don't know how close it was. I heard it wasn't really that close. But to nobody's surprise, like I said, Canelo beats Triple G in the trilogy. Listen, I mean, Triple G is not, it's not prime Triple G, and this is as close to prime Canelo I think as you're going to get. He still wants to fight Bivol, which is beyond me. I don't think that's a winnable fight for you. It's alright, just dominate middleweight. There are plenty of middleweights for you to murk. Canelo, you're not going to beat Bivol. That fight against Bivol, by the way, was probably as close as this fight against Triple G was. Nonetheless, Canelo gets the win. Congratulations. Again, give him some more respect in the pound-for-pound list because, I mean, he lost to Bivol, who's significantly bigger than him. But that's just not a fight he's going to win. I don't know why he keeps going back to it. In the UFC, we had a fight night headlined by Cory Sandhagen and Song Yadong. Song, of course, one of the top young fighters on the planet, regardless of weight class. However, it is still Cory. He is still an elite contender at 135. Make no mistake about it. He butchers Song. He gets the TKO due to doctor stoppage. That cut was vicious. Song held his own. I think he'll be fine. He's only 24. And again, it's not like, even though he took a lot of damage here, it's not like he's got, Max Holloway miles on him. So I think he's going to be okay. And I think one day he could contend for a championship and possibly even be a champion. But Cory is still just that little bit better. This was a brutal card in terms of cuts, because it wasn't just Song. Somebody else also had a very, 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 very vicious cut. So yeah. It was a just bleed card for sure. Definitely a just bleed card, but Cory Sandhagen gotta be number one contender, if not, number two. I'll say number two at the minimum. Definitely gotta be in line for a championship shot very, very soon. Jose Aldo did retire, so one of the legends of the sport, I do have to say, has allegedly retired. I think we've gotten like an official statement from him, but he was removed from the fighter rankings. I think that's what his agent said. So congrats to Jose, future Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time. At one point in time was pound for pound king. So yeah, shout out to Aldo, one of the best ever. And honestly, retired with dignity. He wasn't too washed, he wasn't too out of it. Was still competitive, but you could tell that that championship probably not gonna happen again. So yeah, Aldo goes out on his shield and with some respect, future Hall of Famer, legend of the game. Okay, it was week 2 in the National Football League, and it was a week. It was certainly a week. On Thursday, we kicked it off by the Chargers and the Chiefs, which that's about as good of a Thursday night matchup as I think you're gonna get this year. Because, some of these Thursday night matchups can be kind of grim. However, this was a very, very good one between two of the best quarterbacks in the league. And even though a late surge from the Chargers, it was not enough. As the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes were able to get it done, Pat continues his MVP bid 2 weeks into the season. 24 for 35, 235 and 2 touchdowns for him. Herbert, even though he got injured in this game, hurt some ribs, we'll see. I think he's like day-to-day or going to be kind of on a week-to-week basis. We'll see if he can get back healthy. But Herbert goes 33 for 48, 334 and 3 touchdowns. Eckler also with a solid day, 9 receptions, 155. So shout out to my fantasy owners. He got me 20 this week, and that's all that matters. Mike Williams goes ballistic, but it wasn't enough, like I said. 8 receptions, 113 for a touchdown, including that touchdown was pretty. Pretty. But yeah, Mike Williams always goes off versus the Chiefs for whatever reason. And yeah, Kelsey was a model of consistency. Chris Jones was a menace, 2 sacks. And yeah, Chiefs did enough to get the win, 27-24. The New York Jets beat the Cleveland Browns, who were, I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say about them. But even without Zach Wilson, this Jets team, just the youth showed up big in this game. Sauce Gardner has lived up to expectations so far. Sauce has lived up to expectation, but yesterday's game did not belong to Sauce. It belonged to, I would say, Breece Hall a little bit, but mostly Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, back in Ohio, former Ohio State receiver, former Ohio State star, was the star of the game. 8 receptions, 102, and 2 touchdowns for Garrett Wilson, including the go-ahead with 22 seconds to go. Flacco played the best game we've seen Flacco play since he was a Baltimore Raven. 26 for 44, 307, and 4 for Flacco. Nick Chubb. All right, for Cleveland, Nick Chubb was near unstoppable. All right, he was a touchdown merchant. He gets the hat trick of rushing touchdowns along with 87 yards. Bristol wasn't bad, but nothing remarkable. The Browns defense was not as good as I think some people, had them advertised. And the Jets did what they needed to do, forced some turnovers, played good enough defense, but really Garrett Wilson stepping up big time, Breece Hall making some plays here and there, and of course Flacco having a huge day. And of course, even though I won't put that on Chubb, he better score, 155. You'd probably rather him score, but you do not expect to miss that extra point, especially not Cade York. However, that is what happened, and it left the door open for Corey Davis to get a 66-yarder with 122, and then Garrett Wilson to close it out. So yeah, just an insane comeback for the Jets, and a huge win for them, building momentum going forward. The Washington Commanders, oh boy. Now they did everything they could at the end to try to win this game, but it just wasn't going to happen. Because Amon-Ra St. Brown, USC, all right, fight on, man. Fight on. Like I said, it was a great week for USC. It was a great week for the USC in the NFL as well. ARSB goes for 9 receptions, 116 and 2 touchdowns. I believe he's now scored a touchdown in 6 straight games going back to last year. So yeah, Sun God up good. Jared Goff also up good. 20 for 34, 256, and 4 touchdowns for Goff. Carson Wentz, another solid day, 30 for 46, 337, 3 touchdowns. Can't really put this on him. Curtis Samuel had a great game as well. 21 yards rushing to go along with his 7 receptions, 78 yards, and that touchdown, which he took a blow. I mean, he got blown up with Deshaun Elliott, but a hell of a catch there. However, it would not be enough because, once again, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jared Goff seem to have some divine connection. And, of course, the rookie, the number 2 overall pick in the draft, Aiden Hutchinson, was up to absolutely no good. 3 sacks, his first multi-sack game, his first sack in his career, and, yeah, first 3-sack game. So, yeah, Hutch gets 3 sacks in this game. He was dominant, and, yeah, literally a dream game for Detroit. You could not have asked for a better game, maybe a slightly better defensive performance, but you'll take Hutch and ARSB going off any day of the week. They get the win at home. The Bucks and the Saints, listen, Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore, I cannot wait in 10 years for them to, have their celebrity boxing match so they can get this feud over with, because every single, certain things in life are guaranteed. Death, taxes, and Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore getting thrown out in a Bucks-Saints game for fighting. Now, TB12 definitely instigated, and he was frustrated most of this game. I think, tensions kind of boiled over there. But, yeah, Mike Evans finished it. Marshawn Lattimore, I'm not going to lie, he got punked. All right, Lattimore got punked. Then number 6, he was about to get punked, and then they tackled him. It was just kind of a mess. But, yeah, that ended up working. Almost like a hockey fight. That fight ended up working in the Bucks' favor because literally the first play from scrimmage after that punt, Jameis Winston does what Jameis Winston does better than anybody, and that's throw interceptions. And he threw an interception, and that was all she wrote. The Bucks, yeah, just kind of close it out from there. Perryman, Suckup, and then Mike Edwards with the pick 6. Jameis did Jameis stuff. 3 picks in this game. Like I said, Jameis did Jameis stuff. And simply put, even though it wasn't the most beautiful game for the Bucks, they did enough and they got the win, and that's what they needed. The Giants take out the Panthers 19-16. Great game for the kickers. Shout out to Eddie Pinheiro and Graham Gano because there was a whole lot of you in this game. Saquon probably should have got some more touches, and the Giants probably should have used them a little bit better. However, they got the win. CMC did CMC stuff, got a little bit more touches than last week, and it was a little bit better, but it wasn't enough. Baker wasn't great. The offense wasn't great in general for the Panthers, and the Giants get the win. The Patriots take out the Steelers, which is just terrible. Just terrible, all right? Simply put, it was terrible. They were chanting for Kenny Pickett. I could hear a loud chants through my TV for Kenny Pickett. That's how bad Mitchell Trubisky was in this game. And it's not even that the Pats were any good. Mac wasn't good. I mean, he was solid. I won't say he wasn't good. He was solid, but nothing special. Nelson Aguilar, if anybody, stole the show. 6 receptions, 110, and a touchdown. But, yeah, this could be a long season with Pittsburgh with Watt out for an unknown amount of time, and with Trubisky at quarterback. They kind of regressed back to the meme after the high of beating the Bengals last week. The Patriots, they found a way to win, and that's all I can really say there. The Jaguars, yes, the Jaguars demolished the Colts 24-0, and I don't know if it was that close. Trevor Lawrence looking like Trevor Lawrence, 25 for 30, 235 and 2 touchdowns, and one of the best performances of young Trevor Lawrence's young career. James Robinson is still James Robinson. He scored a touchdown here. Christian Kirk looking like maybe that money wasn't too outlandish. 6 receptions, 78 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Kirk. 2 sacks for Josh Allen. It was a great game. 3 picks of Matt Ryan in this game for the Jaguars. It was a dream game. In Jacksonville, at home. Peterson looking like he was the answer to get that offense going. And as well getting that defense going. Because like I said, 3 turnovers. They were causing havoc. They were causing all types of havoc for the Colts. And yeah, Colts look really, really bad. All right, they all look really, 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 really bad. A tie in the first week, a loss here to the Jaguars, and you got shut out of all things. Not a great start. Not a great start. We'll see what happens. But yeah, just it's not been too pretty if you're a Colts fan. The Dolphins and the Ravens played the game of the week, regardless of college and the NFL. The Dolphins, somehow, some way, despite being down at one point in time, 35-14 as we headed into the fourth quarter, managed to find a way to win this game. And then, of course, Jalen Waddle, with 14 seconds left, gets the game winner. Insane game. Absolutely insane game. It was an insane fantasy game with 3 different 40 bombs, nearly 4. All right, Tua goes for 3650, 469, and 6 touchdowns in this game. Lamar Jackson plays a perfect game and still loses, has a 142 quarterback rating, goes 21 for 29, 318, 3 touchdowns, 119 yards rushing in a touchdown, and still lost. Bateman goes for 108 and a touchdown. Mark Andrews has 9 receptions, 104 and a touchdown, and they still lost. You cannot have a better game from Lamar Jackson in that receiving corps, and they still lost because 2 of those 6 touchdowns. Cheetah goes 190, 11 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Waddle goes 11 receptions, 171, and 2 touchdowns. Just an insane comeback, an insane game from Tua, who looked like he was back in Alabama. And I guess some ways he is, right? 2 electrifying, very good receivers in Hill and Waddle, who was there with him at Alabama. And he just looked at home, and he came alive in that second half. Him and Kyler both came alive, and we'll talk about Kyler when we get to that in a couple games. But both of them came alive in the second half, but an insane comeback. Ravens, it's undescribable. I don't know how you lose that game. Defense has to be better. Has to be better. And by the way, with games like this, you better pay Lamar because he should ask for an unreasonable amount of money. My. Rams take out the Falcons 31-27. Falcons. Jalen Ramsey climbs the ladder. I don't know why you have Kyle Pitts and Drake London, and that's the jump ball you go for. But anyways, Jalen Ramsey puts the game away, even though they managed to, get an intentional safety to make it closer. But nonetheless, Rams close it out late. Stafford, not completely there, but 272, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks though, so up and down game for him. Same thing with Mariota, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, 50-50 game, and unfortunately the 50-50 went the wrong way at the end. Drake London, massive game for Drake, back in LA, fight on. Not 8 receptions, 86 yards, and a touchdown for the rookie who looked to justify his draft position because he could not be covered. Cooper the Cup did Cooper Cup things, 11 receptions, 108, and 2 touchdowns. Y'all know what it is. I don't even need to say it. But like I said, Jalen Ramsey puts the game on ice. Falcons had an opportunity but were unable to take advantage, and the Rams hold on and survive and get the win. The 49ers take out the Seahawks, who just again regress back to the mean. After all that hype after week 1 and franchise quarterback Geno Smith, they came back down to earth. All right, they came back down to earth. But it was still not a good game for the 49ers as Trey Lance with a season-ending ankle injury. Don't know how bad it was, but it was severe, and it did not look pretty on television. So, wishing him the best of luck in recovery. But, just an ugly win. Even a 20-point win can sometimes be ugly, as the 49ers found out. The Dallas Cowboys somehow, someway managed to beat the Cincinnati Bengals, who I'm not saying hit the panic button, but y'all are in trouble. Burrow has been sacked, is on pace to be sacked over 100 times, which would smash the sack record on a quarterback by over 30 sacks. So not a pretty start for the Bengals as they lose to a Cowboys team without their starting quarterback. However, Cooper Rush did hold it down, so shout out to Cooper. Noah Brown played the game of his life, 5 receptions, 91 yards, and a touchdown. However, it was the Micah Parsons show, as it always is. 2 touchdowns for arguably the best defensive player in the game. He was dominant, just causing all types of havoc. Had Burrow seen ghost, and just an insane game. Chase, got kept in check. And I can't ask for much more. We went on a walk-off by Brett Mayer, hits a 50-yarder. Cowboys win. We get our first win of the season. Bengals potentially are down horrendous. The Broncos take out the Texans 16-9. Nathaniel Hackett is not cutting it as a coach so far, and it was an ugly win. I'm not even going to read out the stat line for these players because they don't really deserve it, and neither does Nathaniel Hackett. It was just an ugly game. That's all you really need to know about this one. The Cardinals and the Raiders was another electrifying game led by another comeback. The Raiders were up 20-0 in going into halftime and lost 29-23 in overtime because Kyler Murray decided not to lose this game. Simply put, with one of the greatest 2-point conversions of all time, which made him look like a video game, and then he did it again, and then Hunter Renfrow and listen, I've seen Renfro's praises so many times in the show. However, fumbling twice in one possession is unacceptable, and it was a Clemson-on-Clemson crime as Isaiah Simmons levels and punches the ball out from Renfro. Byron Murphy nearly Deshaun Jackson's it, but takes the fumble recovery back to walk it off, and the Cardinals get the win in overtime after Kyler Murray takes the game over in the second half, and then Isaiah Simmons takes it over in overtime. Hunter Renfro, disaster class. Carr played as well as, we've seen him playing a little bit, looked a little bit better. Probably didn't feed Devontae as much as he probably should have. And the Raiders play for their sins. They start off 0-2 after all the hype going into the season. And the Cardinals get a much, much needed win. Oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Listen, by now the Packers are by no means perfect. Okay? And absolutely not perfect. Aaron Rodgers is by no means perfect. But it's been a rough start to the season. Even in this game, 19 for 25, 234, 2 touchdowns. Looks a little bit better, but it still wasn't pretty. But it was effective. It was enough to get the win, and that's really all that matters. Aaron Jones, much better this week. Of course, there seems to be a civil war amongst fantasy owners between A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones. Well, it was an Aaron Jones week. 132 and a touchdown for him. Monty got vultured like crazy by Fields, 122 for him. He was great, but Fields wasn't. Only 7 for 11, under 100 yards, threw a pick. Sure, he had the touchdown on the ground, but it was a goal line touchdown. And the Bears just do not look. I don't know what to say. I honestly don't know what to say about this Bears team. They're the great unknown. A lot of people had them making the jump. Not happening. At least not yet. And Aaron Rodgers still owns Chicago, it seems. So, yeah, that was the NFL. It was a great week. We'll see what week 3 has to come. But, yeah, great week in the NFL, at least here in week 2. Now, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the Roundup. And to kick off the Roundup, to get straight into it, WNBA Finals, the Aces get it done 78-71. Chelsea Gray wins Finals MVP and drops a 20 ball to lead all scores here, and I think Game 4. Thomas, also have to give a shout out to Thomas for Connecticut's son. Back-to-back triple-doubles. Don't see that a lot in the WNBA. And yeah, especially not in the finals. So yeah, I have to commend her on her performance. But however, Chelsea Gray, Aja Wilson, Kelsey Plum, and of course, highest paid WNBA coach in history and well-deserved because she won Coach of the Year and a championship in her first year, Becky Hammon. Get it done. The Aces were the class of the league. Nothing else to say about that. Well-deserved. They're who I had winning the championship pretty much all year. So no surprises here. Chelsea Gray is her. Aja Wilson is her. Kelsey is her. And of course, big-time Becky Hammon is her. Chris Boucher gets RFK on the board and wins at Bristol. Interesting how in the playoffs here we've had 2 people that did not win during the regular season get wins here to just make matters even more complicated. But Boucher wins a hectic as always, and a little bit of controversy there at Bristol, and a little bit of conflict between teams. But yeah, Boucher gets the win, so shout out to CB. Got to meet him a little bit briefly this summer. So yeah, happy to see that. He's a great guy. And of course, he's a fantastic driver. Gets the win here at Bristol for RFK. Noah Gregson, by the way, who's won 3 straight races. In the Xfinity, probably the favorite to win the championship besides Ty. You got to stop throwing up, bro. I don't know what it is. Winning and throwing, you gotta stop throwing up, my guy. It's not a good look. That fire scene, even though it's probably going to be iconic, that was not a good look. In the MLB, Aaron Judge. What more is there to say besides he is him? He is him. Himmy Hendricks. Two home runs yesterday. Up to 59. 2 away for the record. Judge carrying the offensive load. He's the MVP. I love Shohei. He's having an amazing season. But Aaron Judge is the MVP. I don't really think it's sure we can have a little bit of a debate about it. But listen, Aaron Judge is the MVP. He's also 1 batting average point away from the Triple Crown. He's the MVP. None more needs to be said. Chasing the home run record, one of the best offensive seasons in recent memory. He's going to hit 11 more. He's almost at 20 stolen bases. He's hitting 362 in the second half, over 400 this month. He's just been a monster, all right? Aaron Judge has been a monster. He's him. And to end us off here, Bo Cruz wins EuroBasket for Spain. Yes, Herman Gomez has the game of his life against France. Rudy Gobert has a disaster class, and Spain takes out France to win EuroBasket. But yeah, Bo Cruz played like Bo Cruz. Shout out to Hernan Gomez. Hopefully, he can build some momentum going into the season. But yeah, Spain. Always, just probably the second best, honestly, basketball program, even more so than France who they beat here. Besides the US, they seem to always have a consistent level of play and good players even outside of the NBA. So yeah, shout out to Spain. They get it done. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed. It was a great week last week. Hopefully this week, again, can continue to build momentum. We'll see what happens in football. We'll see what happens in entertainment. But without further ado, it's time for me to shut it down. Coach O, signing off.